Jungkook was in his cabin going through some old files, checking the data. It's already afternoon time and he's doing this work from the morning without any break. Sometimes it badly hurts. Having a CEO post is not a piece of cake. You have to work until your every muscle got a cramp. He massaged his forehead, feeling tired. That's when his cabin door got knocked. Jungkook permitted without taking his eyes from the papers. The door got pushed from the other side and Jungkook's secretary peeked his head. May I come in, sir? Tony approached near the glass table and looked at Jungkook, who was rolling over the files. His boss is actually very working hard. For him, Jungkook is actually a inspiration. Doesn't matter if he is a cold and rude jerk. Boss, your lunch. Tony saw some sparkles in his boss's eyes. Jungkook snapped his head up and his eyes frantically moved down to Tony's hand, grabbing the box. Yes, you can leave it here. Tony obeyed and placed the box on the table and said, Enjoy your lunch, boss. You too. The secretary bowed and went out, closing the door behind. Jungkook's eyes moved to the box and in a swift motion he grabbed it before opening. His nostrils filled with the flavorful smell of freshly prepared dishes, making his empty tummy to grumble in hunger. The boy didn't waste a second and starts to dig the lunch along with the box. In the 6th month of his marriage with Vian, it's the first time Jungkook is eating the food prepared by his wife heartedly, probably because he is not realizing. Maybe because he starts to notice the one-sided efforts of his wife. Jungkook hurriedly dialed to his secretary when he remembers something. After a small talk and confirmation, the revenant collected his stuff and grabbed the bag heading out of the cabin. The boy thought to go home early today because of his good mood, or maybe he is feeling a urge to see a particular person, which definitely didn't never happen before. Strange and unbelievable. Vine was in the living room, sitting and talking with her husband's cousins. More like they were blabbering and the girl was just silently listening their funny fights and talks. Until Lena decided to talk. After planning something evil in her psycho mind, she put the juice glass on the round glass table and sat to Ryan. So Ryan, where are you from actually? And how did you ended up with Jungkook? I mean, you didn't know Jungkook before, so how did this miracle of marrying a rich man happen? It's like Lena is taunting Ryan rather than simply asking. The innocent girl didn't understand the double meaning of her question and looked at her with a small smile. You're right, me and Jungkook never met before. My Appa and Mr. John were best friends. That time he visited us as my father's condition was critical and he wished to see his best friend. I used to live with my father in Roha. Talking about her father, Vine's eyes got moist. But she held them back once again like a professional. Roha, isn't this place is near Gwangju? River and is actually a village. A look of uncomfort spread on Nina's face, hearing village, to which Vine awkwardly nodded, a village. Wow, I always wanted to go on the places like this, a small cottage, river, greenery, fresh air, and a handsome boyfriend cuddling on the bed. How romantic. Bora squealed, daydreaming, making Zad and Vine laugh at her fantasy, while Lena gave a bored look. Not romantic, it's disgusting. I mean, imagine living in a place with no AC, dust, and muds. Ew, I swear I won't even prefer to stay in this type of place where there only you see mosquitoes more than humans. At the end, Lena laughed, making fun of villages. Her real motive was to humiliate Vine, who now starts to feel awkward by her talks. I don't know how Jungkook get ready for this marriage. He always had high standards. The girl straightly targeted Ryan, representing the whole scenario a joke by fake laughing, like pretending she's just joking, not insulting. Lena, can you please stop your nonsense? You are making Ryan feel embarrassed, and there is nothing wrong living in a village. Even if I had to choose, it will be village rather than living in a polluted city. Zad supported Ryan, saying his point of view. Wine, please, it was not my intention, so please don't mind. Lena sat with a fake apologizing smile, to which the girl returned as she have a big hurt. I just wanted to share things about Cookie. He always used to tell that he will gonna marry a girl who is of his status and standards. Modern girl, not any illiterate and village girl, but who can know what's written in a person's destiny. We have to accept even if we don't want to. Lena pressurized on the last sentence before getting up, feeling satisfied after seeing the painful look on Vine's face. Conquering her words, an evil move succeeded. Excuse me, I have to call someone. With that, she left the living room and went upstairs. Vine, please don't mind her. She just blabber anything like a Dumbo. Bora said with concern. Vine shakes her head with a dry laugh and said, no, she was right though. Jungkook deserves a perfect partner. He already has Sweetie, he have you Ryan. You are more than a perfect girl. Obedient and perfect wife, you have everything a partner wish to have in his better half. Jungkook is lucky to have you. Lucky, it must be a joke. Vine thought in her mind and passed a fake smile to Bora. Vine was in their bedroom after the dinner and her night routine. She was arranging the pillow on bed when the bathroom door got opened and Jungkook comes out. Vine didn't turn back. Even after sensing his presence, she continued what she was doing. Her movements stopped when Jungkook called her with the same cold yet slow and muffled voice. Vine, Vine answered, going to her side of bed. Ash, what the? Vine, can you help me? I got stuck. Stuck? In what? Vine turned around and gasped, covering her mouth. Seeing Jungkook's head under his white shirt, while his hands busy trying to unbutton the shirt, which are actually on top of his head. But feeling miserably, the girl pursued to not laugh at this moment. Her husband is actually looking like a cute bunny struggling inside a cage. Yeah, where are you? Help me. Surprising her, the boy whined in a cute voice, wiggling continuously, rolling his butt like an adorable rabbit. Vine bites her lip and comes closer to him. She is about to touch him when suddenly he steps forward, resulting their bodies to come more closer. Hurry up, I'm suffocating. The girl shrugged and first decides to help him, ignoring the closeness between them, which are enough to make her heart go crazy. She first removed his hands, causing him to stay still at his place. Due to the sensation he just received in his entire body due to her soft touch, their hands first time touched, spreading a sparkle in their body. Gently undoing the button, she spoke. How you got in it like this? Jungkook's hands made into fists, hearing her so close to him. For God's sake, it's making him feel something very different yet weird. I forget to open the first two buttons and directly wear it. He slowly yet coldly replied, while hummed, and finally opened the last upper button and his red face comes out. He really was out of breath. Ah, thanks. Jungkook brings down the shirt only to release a soft moaning pain. Oh, wait. Vine sat and removes his hairs, which got stuck around the button. The gap now decreased more. Are you okay now? Jungkook opened his eyes. After a long deep breath, it was actually suffocating. His orbs directly get locked with hers, which are holding concern for him. Did she really got worried for a small thing? Concern was clearly reflecting in them. Jungkook found himself getting lost in those brown orbs. There was something in them which made him continuously stare without blinking. His rate raised when her hand touched with his, only to make him notice the closeness of their both bodies, their first closeness. Unconsciously, Jungkook's arms circled around her waist, resulting the girl to stiffen at her place. Her eyes blinked multiple times with an unbelievable look on her face. Jungkook tried not to smile at her cute face. The innocent look of his wife is driving him crazy, and that's actually what made him to do things which any of them had ever thought would happen. Unconsciously, his head dropped down to snuggle in her neck, inhaling her sweet scent. Wine shivered due to the sensual touch of his cold nose on her skin. Breathing heavily, she clutched his shirt in fist. For a minute, he continued the sweet torture until Wine spoke. Jungkook. The boy comes out of his trance and freaked. Sensing what he is actually doing, straightening his posture, he looked at her with wide eyes. Jungkook immediately moves backward with an embarrassed face. No, sorry. No, I mean thanks. Also sorry. Good night. Jungkook avoided eye contact and practically ran towards bed before snuggling in blanket, leaving a flustered yet dumbfounded wife. Wine come back to sense when something hit her mind. Did he just say thanks? Sorry, good night, too many words. But what just actually happened between them? 2 days later, neatly folding the iron suits and some casual clothes, Wine arranged them in the black suitcase. She grabbed the files placed on the nightstand before putting them on the cloths and zipped the chain. Wine released a deep sigh after finishing Jungkook's packing. Now it's time to pack her clothes. Today Jungkook returned more than early. Well, from some days the Revenant is doing this, which is pretty strange. During lunchtime, he informed everyone about the meeting he have in Busan. Along with the business stuff, they can also do picnic there as his cousins wanted to take them somewhere. And the person who was more excited than anyone else was Lena. Wine was folding the clothes mindlessly. Her mind is surrounded by the heavy cloud of thoughts. Separating herself from him is not easy, but the girl is giving her best to not create more hatred inside his husband for herself. He already have so much. A shaky breath escaped, remembering the bitter words. I hate you, Wine. Jungkook used to love someone else, not a perfect partner. He never wanted her. What will happen if I ask him about her? The girl never questioned him about anything, but now she can't take it. Her heart is burning in desperation to eagerly know about the reason behind his cold shoulder, and did he actually love that girl? Was she never meant something for him? She will not stop herself today. Vine secretly swiped her thumb around the corner of her eyes as the bathroom door got opened. Done with packing, she heard him behind her, and in response, she could only shake her head in no. Jungkook yawned before taking steps towards the large cupboard. If he could have seen the nervous look on his wife's face, who is staring at his back while continuously questioning herself. At last, she gave up. With a little bit of courage, Wine called him slowly, Jungkook. Not giving a minor attention, Jungkook answered. His hands were busy inserting something in the drawers of cupboard. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. He closed the cupboard and returned back with a blue file in his hand. Jungkook settled down on the edge of bed and starts to go through the details without acknowledging the nervous yet scared figure. Tracing her wet tongue on her dried lips, Wine tried to speak. You know that day Lena was saying, what? Speak clearly and faster. If you just keep stuttering like this, then sorry, I don't have time. His tone was showing irritation. When you had time for me? Never. Pine closed her eyes before speaking. You really had a lover before. There was a long silence for straight 2 minutes. The girl gulped and opened her eyes, slowly only to get startled, finding Jungkook now standing on his feet while clutching the file tightly in his hand. His dark eyes met her frightened ones, sending chills down to her body. Did she say something wrong? No, the girl just want answers. And today he have to give answer to her every question and insecurity. She don't want to live in dark anymore. Mia was really your first love. Ignoring the building pain in her heart due to the word wine again opened her mouth. Do you still love her? Her breaths becomes heavy. The pain in throat was increasing. Thinking of the possibility, Jungkook still loving her making the girl weak, Jungkook didn't utter a single word. His eyes were on the figure, seeing her eyes getting moist. It stabbed him, but no words in a response is not coming out from his mouth against her questions. The boy can't be able to figure out what he should say even. Jungkook feel his jaw clenching. Her sudden questions about her triggered the emotions which he has been trying from the past 6 months to bury in his heart. But seems like he can't escape anymore, nor he can suppress his emotions. After all, along with her, he is also suffering. Does destiny really choose this time for the truth when he was forgetting the past and thinking to try his luck on the present? Why, how can someone so unlucky? Just Jungkook diverted his vein and said calmly, tomorrow we have to leave, so it would be better if you will focus on that. We can discuss you these questions some days later. Wine shook her head with tears forming in eyes. Some days for her will be hell. She can't live with this pain anymore. She needs explanation. He was about to walk past by her when something held his wrist. Jungkook closed his eyes tightly, gritting his teeth in irritation. I can't wait. This is what I am doing from the start, right? Waiting for you to speak like a proper husband. To notice me one day, to treat me like your wife, at least like a human to yourself. Tell me the reason for treating me like this. How more you want me to wait, Jungkook? Your this time is killing me. I had waited long for you and your explanation, but now I can't. Please not today. Her voice was cracking in between. Jungkook felt something welling inside. The effect of these things and her broken state are too much for him. He can't handle this. Noticing no movement from him, Wine turned him around. She can't wait no more. The girl was silent these days because she was unaware of the bitter truth. A hope in her was stopping herself to face her husband, but not anymore. Especially when the reason is out and after she erased the hope from her heart. The longing of her husband, if it's not today, then not anymore. Jungkook, please, I had never questioned you. I had not complained even after getting the cold shoulder from you without any reason. But now I want answer of my every question. I have waited long enough, but not now. Please tell me, did you really never accepted this relationship? Never considered me as your wife? Jungkook couldn't be able to hold the eye contact for long as it's hurting him to see her this vulnerable state. The tears from her eyes were not stopping. The pain which was hidden is showing on her face, and Jungkook can't see this. The condition for which he is the only reason. Wine, please, we will. Shocking Jungkook, Wine grabbed his collar and stared into his eyes. Her eyes were holding pain, desperation, and lots of emotions which he couldn't identify. No, you have to answer me today, Jungkook. You have to tell who is Mia. What's the reason behind your this coldness? She screamed on his face. Wine, you're crossing the limit. Jungkook glared into her eyes. He tried to remove the grip, but seems like today Wine is determined to hear everything. I don't care, okay? Just answer me. Why you hate me so much? Why your heart is black for me, while for others it's warm? Why I never felt my husband's love? Never in the 6 months of relationship, the girl never raised her voice on him like this. But when your heart already broke and there is no hope, you can't control yourself anymore. It will eventually comes out, and same happening with wine. Now the desperation of pain is coming out in form of anger and frustration, which is screaming and demanding for an answer from her husband. Why? What's your problem with me that I had done to you, Joan? You are the biggest problem here. It's you who ruined my life. The grip of her fingers loosened from the collar, while from Jungkook's sudden outburst, the girl flinched and the words he said affected her to the core of her. She trembled in fear and got shocked due to Jungkook's aura. Today he was completely different. You snatched everything from me. Wine couldn't understand the meaning of these words. Isn't it she who needs to speak these words? After marrying him, she lost herself. Her heart, her smile, everything. Jungkook glanced at her, who was now standing like a statue with no movement, only her eyes were fixed on him. As the boy doesn't want to lose his control more, which he already did, he pushed her away from him and turned his face away, probably don't want to show her his vulnerable state. Wyan was blankly staring at his back. Surely the words he let out pierced her fragile heart. Wyan doesn't seem to understand what actually she snatched from him. She doesn't remember. In fact, she had never put a demand. She had never ever asked anything from him. The girl pushed the confusion away and asked me what I had snatched from you, Jungkook. I have always prayed for your happiness. You shall get what you want in your life. These were the only words in my prayers for you. The girl sat her thoughts. Her voice was calm but still hoarse. What's the use of those prayers after my everything got ruined and snatched? What's the profit of your those wise words when you are the only person behind my every sadness? Jungkook shouted in anger. He got so blind in his anger that the boy didn't even notice what he is actually saying. He didn't notice the effect of the bitter words he let out on the girl in front of him. Jungkook completely lost his mind, seeing the same confusion on Vine's face. She was still and kept looking at him, like she couldn't be able to get meaning of a single word. Vine shook her head in denial and answered with a great difficulty. No, I didn't do anything. I always wanted our happiness. You are lying. She protested against the fake accusations he is putting on her. Her steps were going back. Jungkook grabbed Vine by the shoulders and made her stand still on its place. She starts to throw punches on his shoulder, still blabbering the same sentence and saying he's lying. It's not a lie, it's reality. Because of you, I lost my first love. Just because of you, we both have to separate. With trembling lips, Wine uttered, I was not aware of this. I never knew you already have someone in your life. Jungkook harshly pulled her closer and whispered with so much bitterness. Staring directly into her teary eyes, Wine could only see hatred for herself in his eyes, and it was unbearable. Still, you was the reason I have to go away from her, as dad gave more importance to you, but not his own son's happiness. Along with my love, you also take my parents away from me. These accusations is making her weak. If Jungkook had not told her, she might be on the floor by now. The both hearts were paining. Tears flow from both of their eyes. Wine attached her forehead with his. They both closed their eyes, blaming the condition of their time for their messed up life. If Wine's dad didn't had died at that time, maybe nothing of like this could had happened. Maybe their paths will be different. Maybe they both would be with their loved ones. But with whom they are kidding? Destiny. Maybe no one can predict what will happen in next second. We can never know what's in our destiny. It was never my intention, Jungkook. If I knew you already have someone in your heart, I swear I never agreed to this marriage. But it had already done, right? There is nothing you could do now. I wish I had never met you. That was the worst moment of my life. More tears flow down and her heart tightened more, making it difficult for her to breathe. The hatred from her own husband was too much for her. She can't believe Jungkook is regretting the time so much when they had their first encounter. Why this have to happen with her, with them? Jungkook pushed wine away and spoke. I wish I could go back in that time, could change everything so maybe we both have been together today and happy. Jungkook wipes the tear harshly and went out. It was the first time wine had shown something different on Jungkook's face, except the coldness. Sadly, it was only pain. Her heart clenched for being the reason of his tears. His sadness, if he had asked about Jungkook's opinion before the marriage, then maybe today they both didn't have to suffer. He wouldn't have lost his lover, he wouldn't have hated her this much. Their life wouldn't be a big mess. But what about her? The girl had never wanted to be a reason of separating two lovers. It wasn't her mistake that her Appa and Mr. Jones turned out to be friends. It wasn't her doing that Mr. Jones suddenly announced their marriage. In fact, in this she also had to suffer. In fact, it's she who suffered the most. The girl lost her only family, her father. She didn't recover from the tragedy. Then suddenly, Mr. Jones chose her to be his daughter-in-law. She couldn't be able to gather herself completely from her loss. Then how could she ask the other's opinion? She could only thought that maybe she will found another reason to start a new life. And she find the reason in her sudden arranged husband John Jungkook. Was she really a selfish? But her love for him was selfless. She loved without any greed, her one-sided, selfless love. Next day, Jungkook have informed everyone yesterday that they will leave for Busan in the morning. So as per the plan, everyone comes out of the room with a happy face. The big smile on their faces was a living about how excited they are for this trip. After all, after so many years, they get time to spend with each other. Right now, they're filling their empty stomachs. As usual, Wine, the in charge of preparing food, was in the kitchen, staring at nothing with a gloomy face. The sadness in her eyes was describing everything. Last night's incident was like a tragedy for her. The words Jungkook said to her were like a poisonous arrow, killing her heart bit by bit. Oh, how much she regretted asking those questions related to Jungkook's past life. If she could have controlled or zip her mouth like she did in these past months, at least nothing could have happened like this. The relationship might not have broken more as it already is, but whom she is kidding, feelings and emotions can never be buried. One day they comes, not matter how much you try to overpower them. After the argument, Jungkook and Vine didn't talk to each other, nor they tried, precisely ignoring. No one wants to initiate, maybe too weak to get hurt again, seeing each other's vulnerable condition. The hate she saw in Jungkook's eyes for herself was a crystal clear picture of the broken string of the relationship. In fact, there was a never a relationship between them. They both were two used pawn of destiny, which got put together with no matching. Just living like strangers were their goal, with no emotion, no feelings, no happiness. A small whimper comes out from her mouth when the sharpness of knife sliced her finger instead of the apple. Gradually, it starts to bleed, causing the girl to hurriedly put the wounded finger under tap water without knowing. Tears flow out of her eyes like a rainfall. She couldn't be able to understand whether the reason of tears is because of the small cut on finger or the unlimited wounds of her heart. But one thing was clear, the wound of her heart was more big and painful compared to this. Getting unbearable every passing day. Nuna, come fast, what are you doing? Her chain of thoughts broke when Zad called out her name. Again, a fake drama. She had to put off being happy. The girl cannot anyone know that there is something wrong with her, where the reality is everything is going wrong, and the most worst part is she have no one with whom she could share her a slightest pain. The trio cousins were standing in living room with their luggages. Kids are excited. Zad signaled her to come fast while proceeding towards the car. Standing in front of the big door, Vine mouthed 5 minutes before climbing the stairs. Again she had to face him, opening the door of the shared bedroom. Vine straightly went towards washroom, not even glancing in the direction where her husband was standing. Even she was aware of his presence in room. The girl couldn't form courage to look at him. Hearing the door closing sound, Jungkook, who was adjusting his hairs, got attentive into the direction. He clearly knows how who was it who can even enter in his room and accept his wife. Past night was actually pitch black night in both of their life, full of uneasiness and restlessness. Staring at the closed door past night, clips started to play in front of his eyes. You are the biggest problem here. It's you who ruined my life. I was not aware of this. Trust me. Did he cross the limit? Of course he did. Saying poisonous words just because he was frustrated of the ongoing battle of his heart and mind, he laced out on her as only he couldn't think which side he should choose. Past, full of memories of his love, about whom there is no confirmation he would get it back or not. Or present, where he is hurting his partner only because he thinks she ruined his life. Even complete aware that there is no connection of her with it. Blaming her who was never aware about his love life was right. The boy now is doubting on his words, his mind questioning and his heart answering everything. Then why can't he decide? Why can't he make a choice? He kept recalling the words he said and thinking if he was actually right or wrong. Was Vine is in fault, or it just him who behaved like this with her without any reason? Bubble of his thoughts burst when sound of knob twisting fell in his ears. He glanced and saw Vine coming out after changing. She was looking around the room except at him. What he was even expecting after he let out those words, I had already loaded your luggage in car with mine. Jungkook said, knowing for what his wife is looking. Did he just said his wife? Brave of you, John Jungkook. On his statement, Vine didn't show any positive response, just to let him know that what he said she heard. The girl nodded her head and took steps towards dressing area, aware of the gaze she was receiving from the person standing in the room. Lena, Bora, and Sad were standing by the car, two of them gossiping or discussing about what will they particularly do in Busan. Wine and Jungkook comes out with the boy following behind as they're only 5 and can easily adjust. So all decided to go in one car as also it will fun to stay together. Hop on, we are leaving. Jungkook sat with a poker face on which Bora just rolled her eyes. But hold it back professionally. Let's go. Vine smiled at the two siblings, exciting energy. While Lena made a done face and as always Jungkook didn't show any reaction, he went towards the driver's seat. Not missing this opportunity, Zad opened gate of the seat beside driver's one and signaled Vine with a gentle smile. The boy don't know much, but he was eager to settle everything between his Hyung and Nuna. With a polite smile, Vine was about to get in, but someone before her take that place. Zad gritted his teeth and annoyance after seeing Lena taking the place. Can I sit here, Vine? If you don't mind. Actually, I have something to talk with Jungkook. I hope you don't think I'm causing you any trouble. The best gentle yet fake smile Lena could pass, she did. Vine didn't notice, but someone did. Lena, you can sit behind. Nuna should be the one to sit beside Jungkook Hyung, where both cousins were literally arguing early morning. Vine's eyes were fixed on Jungkook, who was sitting with a blank look, not considering the fact that he should say a single word or it doesn't matter for him. If someday someone took her place as his wife, he wouldn't speak that time. Are you expecting to say something for you? Come out of your imagination, Vine thought with a bitter chuckle. Holding back the urge to let her tears fall, Vine faced Zad with a small smile and said, "It's okay, Zad. If Lena wants to sit here, then let her. It's not a problem for me, and I think not for someone else too. It's not like I have rights." Vine desperately wants to say last words, but for the sake of others, she didn't. Her eyes traveled to Jungkook, who was also staring at her. Initially, he wasn't, but heard everything. What hurts her is that her so-called husband didn't utter a word in this matter, which make her think maybe he also don't want her to sit beside him and not appreciate her presence beside himself. But Nona, it's your right. Hyung, why are you not saying anything? Pissed off by his elder cousin, brother's silence Sad spoke. The boy was literally sitting there like a statue and not considering that someone is trying to take advantage of Vine's kind personality. Zad, please don't make it a big deal. We should adjust and not spoil the mood. Let's it. That's what Joan Vine is exactly doing from the start. Adjust. Are you okay? Placing hand on Vine's shoulder sympathetically, Bora asked. She also witnessed the whole drama, and the girl felt sympathy for Vine, and also was a little angry on Jungkook, just like Zad. But it's not like they can do something. After all, it's their personal matter, hmm? Zad also sat, not before passing a glare to Lena, who intentionally ignored it. Adjusting the face mirror, Jungkook couldn't help but glance at Vian, whose head was now ducked down, but this couldn't stop the view of her glistening eyes and lips. Trembling slightly, a knot formed in his heart unknowingly. The boy couldn't understand his own feelings. Should he feel pathetic for not doing anything, or feel ashamed for once again being the reason of her sadness?